Today we're going to be talking about what makes a good farm pistol. How's it going, guys, and welcome to another episode of Coffee Talk. My name is Chad and this is the Hopeful Homestead. You're sitting outside right now with me at my little campsite I built next to my tiny cabin on wheels that we've parked out here on my family's property that we're calling the Hopeful Homestead. A 21-acre piece of land that we're going to be building our forever home on here over the next hopefully 6 or so months. So stick around for that journey. But today we're talking about what it takes for that sidearm to be on your hip out here when you're doing work on your homestead. And as I've mentioned, this is a 5-part series talking about everything having to do with firearms and homesteading. So in the last couple of videos, we broke down why farmers and ranchers tend to gravitate towards old school guns. We talked about what makes a good farm gun in general in part 2. And today we're talking about specifically what makes a good farm pistol. And for me, it's a single action revolver. And I can tell you, I've had a lot of guys in the comments to agree with me on this fact right here. A single action revolver is the most simple in its implementation of how it operates. You can count on it working. In my opinion, this is just a little 22 revolver that I have out here. It's always at the cabin. A true Colt clone, a true Colt single action army clone that has no safety mechanism, no transfer bar, none of that stuff. It's simple in how it operates, so you can count on it working. It's not going to jam. I've never had a jam or a misfire with any of the 45 Colt single action army clones that I have. It's never happened. And I've put hundreds and hundreds of rounds through those things at this point. Any semi-auto pistol I own, I've had multiple jams with. So anybody who's gonna argue me on that front just either doesn't have experience running those guns side by side, or they're just flat out lying, because semi-auto pistols jam. They just do, especially when they're exposed to the elements out here, where you're outside doing work, sweat's getting on them, it's hot and humid here in South Florida. You got to rely on something that's simple in how it operates so that it can withstand those elements. For me, single action army clones are what do it. Having good old-fashioned iron sights that just are lined up and work. And once you understand how your particular pistol works and how the sights align properly, you can rely on that thing shooting accurately every time without having to fiddle with the optics on more modern firearms. You don't have to think about it. I don't even have to second guess it. If I was carrying around some pistol with some sort of red dot on it, I would have to be thinking about when's the last time I changed the battery on that? Is the battery corroding from moisture corrosion because of how humid it is here? Oh, that 2x4 I dropped bumped my pistol on my hip pretty hard on its way down to the ground. Did it knock the zero off of that? I don't want it to think about any of those things. And I can know that a good old-fashioned, iron in your hand, on your hip, is not gonna be a problem. It's just gonna work. As long as you keep the thing lubricated properly, it's gonna run fine. It's not gonna rust. If it's a blued gun, which all these old school Wild West type guns are either blued or color case hardened or stainless. So they're ready to withstand the elements. A lot of these modern firearms don't even have any coating. They're just, they either have very minimal or none at all, to where it's just bare metal exposed to the elements, and that's just gonna rust. I mean, no matter how much you try to maintain that, it's just gonna rust. And so for me, what makes a good farm pistol, like I said, it's making sure that it's reliable, because its build materials are good, its craftsmanship is good, it's got a good finish where it's either stainless or blued or color case hardened to where it's going to withstand up against the elements. It's not made of cheap materials that are going to crack and melt and all kinds of stuff that can happen in in various conditions outside. It's not something you have to worry about batteries. It's something that's simple in its action. You can count on it working without jamming. It requires very little maintenance to where you can just know that it'll work. You can trust it. You don't have to even think about safeties or nothing. It's just going to be something that just works for you when you're doing work out on your homestead, because your mind as a homesteader, as a farmer or rancher, you're thinking about the work that's at hand, and you're sweating and you're deep, elbows deep in hard work. So if you have to deploy your firearm in the midst of that, you don't want to you're not in the headspace of having to worry about, is your safety on? What kind of safety is the type of gun you're pulling? Are you having to think about? You're having to make sure that it's not jamming on repeat shots. Remembering all the things about the sights and worrying about whether or not the optics have got charged up batteries, all that stuff. I don't have to fiddle with any of that. I just want to be able to know my guns are going to be there for me. And for me, a farm pistol, like a single action revolver, is going to do just that. But I think that's going to do it for today's video. As I mentioned before, this is a 5-part series. So if you think about sticking around, I got part number 4 right here. It's all about what actually makes a farm rifle good, everything it takes to have a good farm rifle. So go click on that and I'll see you over in that video. Thanks, guys.